you swear. So many die, she said no, and yet they don't do a thing. Yeah, NRP comfortable, don't feel rule them now. Tell me how comes you sell your brother 80 acre of land for 25 cents a square feet. Tell me how comes people can't find food to eat, a work hard and can't pay bills round ya. Tell me how come custom furious tax increase, yet still we not live better round ya. Tell me how come youths never suffer out the street. Everybody know I see and do it. All the small people business I see they get locked down. Early on let's for them, oh, oh, oh. Yes, it's time for them to go. Early out we for them, oh, oh, oh. Out and Navy so now, them is why so many die. CCN got still gone, yeah.
Joseph Parias, I am from the place, yeah. Big up the minister, one name Roberta Hector. Patrice Nesbeth, I am the people love, yeah. Patsy Hardly, no one of they above, yeah. Here's the Daniela, free minister them there. Big up on the chest. CCN will have to go. Vote them out. Early out, vote them out. Time for them to go. Yeah. The CCM government will have to go. They're corrupted. You tell me why you sell your brother the people them land. Why you do that for a little bit and nothing? Where's the 300,000 US? Where vanish and nobody don't know about it. The Navy's people broke up. Less employment. We need better government. And it's the NRP government. We gotta take them to this time. We need to live in love again. It's too much crime and violence. People think. Even though we are broken up inside, never give up my pride. Don't know for them want to see we backslide, yeah. Can't take me for no joyride. Oh, I'm broken up inside. NRP never give up them pride. CCM want to see we backslide, yeah. You see, although I'm broken up, me never smoking up, them mirroring, them crack, now them coking up. Prestige no game box, I mean them can't talking up. And big and serious, no guy can't close me up. Them try to toast me up, to get the most of us, then give we gun, until we gunshot it off to bus. Them clean off the rust, from in a Christmas. CCM will have to go, you know. I'm telling the truth. Whoa. Even though I'm broken up inside, never give up my pride. CCM want to see we backslide, yeah. Can't take me for no joyride NRP. We broken up inside, but we not gonna give up. CCM want to see we backslide, yeah. Navy's people marks this, you know. Just give we strength from day to day, to the King of where we pray. For health and strength and when me hope and pray. We have to feel away when them thief free money. Cause none of them can stop them youth up from strength. Because the world is spinning around on a mutual ground. Whole heap of things them do we like them want me fi frown. You know me never frown, me mashing on me sound. But choices where I make, I just can't forget to show my brothers and my sisters respect. Cause me no want them walking at the wrong footstep. And I'm just stepping on the pagan neck, you know. Whoa, 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 whoa. NRP, we're broken up inside, but we not gonna give them. Don't know for them want to see we backslide, yeah. Can't take me for no joyride, even though I might have broken up inside. Never give up my pride. CCN want to see we backslide, yeah. Yeah. We're tired of this corruption government, corruptive government. They're not doing nothing for the youths, and the youths of today is the man of tomorrow. They're thinking about themselves only. Why the government selling brother over 80 acres of land? Only quatting and farting. Yeah, the $300,000 we're missing in US. The people them need to know about that. Police them getting less space. The government workers not getting no pays. Medical and if you understand, say yo, as TC and government do all of those corruption thing, you know. Well, I just can't take no more of this CCM government. Too much corruption, too much guns, too much violence in navies. Right now we need NRP to run back this country. Yeah, they've been running it from 1980 to 1992. Oh, yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. NRP them there. Da, 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 ho, ho, ho. Well, I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Let me see the and them not up touch the ceiling. We gonna live in love again. I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Keep the faith and keep on believing. NRP run this place again. We have to preserve what we got. Sweet navies, we have to take it back from the heartless, ruthless thugs and the natch. White collar crimes and these dirty cops. And when it a go stop, things are not the same. People that complain, but the road where you fix and the blood still a chain. Let all arise and them can't explain. CC and sick in them brain. I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Let me see the and them not up touch the ceiling. We gonna live in love again. I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Keep the faith and keep on believing. NRP, I run this place again. CC, God damn, me can't stand it and me can't overstand it. Police station, why the youths them bomb it? Yeah, them the thing they are instant panic. Stress me them sit down and plan it. What's the solution to this confusion? Illiterate youth, gun distribution, pay penitentiary and institution. We need NRP. Whoa. Feeling, wonderful feeling. Let me see the and them not up touch the ceiling. We gonna live in love again. I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Keep the faith and keep on believing. We overcome this stress one day. NRP can solve this problem. Every day that me observe. Tell the government plan a new strategy. Protect the youths them from off of the curve. And if them don't take heed and fulfill them need and watch where the youths them greed, then the killing and season we can't get no peace and the future go out of me. Well, I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Let me see the and them not up touch the ceiling. NRP I run this place again. I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Keep the faith and keep on believing. We overcome this stress one day. Just to highlight wonderful feeling. A few things and them not up touch the ceiling. Government did for navies. 1980 to 1992. The lighting of the Newcastle airport. The construction of the Charleston primary. And just to name a few. The free and fair election from 1987 to 1992. The government will have to go there to corrupt. Hey, NRP government there. Well, I got this feeling, wonderful feeling. Let me see the and them not up touch the ceiling. NRP I run the place again.
Yo! Leave this! Tell them who can handle it, just leave this! Hey! I'm just show me your hand if you're voting. For Barry and NRP we voting. Tell this is CM we not joking. Yo! We voting for NRP, the performance party. CCM them a comedy like they want to film comic movie. It's for NRP, the performance party. CCM them a comedy like they want to film comic movie. Yeah. On elections day, when you see we go mark we X, plenty people are gonna vex. In the ink we dip, we index, we voting for progress. So if you're voting for Paris, say oh yeah. For NRP just say oh yeah. All Nevis people shout it out there, shout it and make Paris hair. We voting for NRP, the performance party. CCM them a comedy like they want to film comic movie. It's for NRP, the performance party. CCM them a comedy like they want to film comic movie. Yeah, the Nevis Reformation Party. It's the best we ever had in this country. The opposition want to confront we, but they will never ever defeat we. And me say tell them performance matters. They wanna cry niggas back in the gutters. They want poor people eat dry bread and butter. Them only care about the rich people suffer. We voting for NRP, the performance party. CCM never come at it like they want to film comic movie. It's for NRP, the performance party. CCM never come at it like they want to film comic movie. So if you're voting for Barry, put your hand in the air. Roberto Hector, put your hand in the air. Hensley Daniel, put your hand in the air. Put your voting finger in the air. Patrice Nesbitt, put your hand in the air. Patsy Hanley, put your hand in the air. Everybody jump like if you don't care. NRP winning this clear. We voting for NRP, the performance party. CCM never come at it like they want to film comic movie. It's for NRP, the performance party. CCM never come at it like they want to film comic movie. Yo, don't bother ring up your face and bend, because after elections you're still our friend. Victory is sweet, so tell the CCM prepare for defeat. Don't take it personal, but Parry and the NRP winning every seat. Rah!
To the people of Nevis, this is your duty in the quest for peace, progress, and prosperity. Hey! Election is coming once again, so divisions you should not refrain from giving your nation true justification, and from bribery abstain. Nevis Reformation Party, 5 young people of integrity shall rescue the nation from overtaxation and high customs duty. And you'll be free to speak, and you won't be ignored with the NRP vote. Then you will be assured that salvation for this nation would come when CCM is gone. Yes, everybody calling for NRP. Nevis changing entirely, for they wouldn't take it for granted. They're going to vote them out, everyone. Give them the rod of correction. Every wrong must be corrected. Yes, so when the bell done ring, you go do your thing. 'Cause like a mighty wave will be rolling before the bell done ring. You better learn to swim, 'cause DCCM boat would be sinking, and toss them out and throw them out so early out. Vote them out, toss them out and throw them out so early out. Vote them out. This is the cry of the people to wipe out corruption and to take back the land. Nevis needs reformation. Hey! 14 years of secession talking, 14 years and they ain't do a thing but keeping you waiting while Nevis invading by fire ants and mountain chicken. Now there is a great lamentation over some 80 acres of land, and while they're debating, the treasury waiting for US 300,000, while no jobs provided for
happy to see Henry Daniel, Joseph Curry, Patrice Nisbet and Patsy Hanley, and Roberto Hector Shelby, serving you with integrity, leading the nation with dignity. Yeah, so when the bell done ring, go and do your thing, 'cause like a mighty wave will be rolling. So when the bell done ring, and you do your thing, if crackers smoke their pipe, if they can swim, toss the ball and throw them out early on. Henry Daniel, throw them out. Toss them out and throw them out. Patsy Hanley, so early on. Roberto Hector, throw them out. Toss the ball. And our great leader, so Joseph Curry, to lead this nation with integrity and dignity. So early on, vote them out, toss the ball, and throw them out. So early on.
For 2006.
NRP for peace, progress, and prosperity.
It's a new beginning.
If your future is in doubt, the time come now, we're gonna vote them out.
Peace, progress, and prosperity.
Yes,
Good decisions make me smile, and you know it's been a while since something so good has come this way. By-election is now nigh, it's the ideal time to try to make sure our guy holds the sway. So don't you shy away from sunshine, do not flush your future down the drain. Forget all the old talk, time to get off the mark. Choose a man who you know will hold the strain.
I'm walking in sunshine.
Papa, look how his skin glowing.
Walking in sunshine.
We working while they're talking. We're on the move again. On the move, onward and upward. Hi, this is Spicy Ginger. On August 27, 2007, people of St. Paul and St. John vote Hensley Daniel into the federal parliament. This is a man who is committed to the youth, the elderly, and everyone in between. It's your right to choose. Don't dig the blues. Make sure that green goes into federal parliament. Amen.
We're on the move again. Got them covered, move forward. Got them covered, move forward.
Today, the people of Nevis have a decision to make.
NRP got them covered. I wanna be warring. Look at what NRP has done. I wanna be warring. Better roads around the island. How they big up Kuali. NRP doing it less than 3. I wanna be warring. I wanna be warring. All because of NRP. We're growing just like a hybrid tree, and covering our lands for all the people of Kuali. Have everything covered. We strictly voting for NRP. We got them covered. Move forward. We got them covered. Move forward.
I can assure you that the Nevis Reformation Party has big dreams and big plans. Today, the people of Nevis must decide who are the men of vision in politics.
am told to remind you that change has come, and we have made that change.
NRP, cover all it, cover all it, cover all it, cover all it, come on. Cover all ends, cover all ends. NRP, whoa, yes, we got them covered. Look, cover all ends, cover all ends. NRP, whoa, yes, we got them covered. Cause we cover all ends. Yeah, cover all ends. For many years, Nevis got a water crisis, yeah. NRP, listen to the people's voices. Listen. Contract a company to supply the whole of Nevis with 1 million gallons a day, yeah. Because water is well needed. An exploration company to find geothermal energy, yeah. To supply neighboring islands with cheaper prices for electricity for you and me, yeah. While protecting the environment and the ozone. That's why Nevis is the greenest island in the whole wide world. So cover all ends. NRP, oh, look, we got them covered. We got them cover all ends. Cover all ends. NRP, oh, look, we got them covered. Cause we cover all ends. 250 men and women was sent to institutes of further learning. Your home building program alone built over 175 homes and made them all affordable for your hardworking people. NRP, you're on target. 225 people were approved for lands you placed on the market. The entire main road is now complete. Qatar's water meant electricity for you and me. It is there to see. So on NRP, Nevis people depend to cover all ends, yes. So tell your neighbor, tell your friend, NRP to the end, cause we cover all ends. NRP, whoa, yes, we got them covered. Cover all ends, cover all ends. NRP, whoa, yes, we got them covered. Cause we cover all ends. You got one of the best drag racing track. Interest schools visitors know you are jack. Jumpstart the industry we cotton export. Re-establish the fishery score. Support the farmers with new technology. Improve all them productivity. The mediation center that you build to help the judiciary system. The primary school that you build a coal hill. Chief and gas prices, weekly meetings. NRP say you're really working. Tell them no procrastinating. Tell them that you ain't waiting. Your cause it's time for voting. NRP supporters hand in the air. Let's go. Because on NRP people need this depend to cover all ends, yes. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend, NRP here again. So cover all ends. NRP, whoa, yes, we got them covered. Look, we cover all ends. Cover all ends. NRP, whoa, yes, we got them covered. Cause we cover all ends. Chickens down to market shop, tell them that we Newcastle to Barnaby, down to Zion. Over to Jessup and down to Cotton Road. Cover all ends. Yeah. Cover all the ends, yes. Cover all the ends, yes. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble.
I know me not playing now. For real. Show me your finger. Show me your finger. Show me your index finger, boy. Show me your finger. Joke on a boy. Show me your finger. We voting for peace, voting for progress, voting for prosperity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. For freedom of speech and of religion, justice and integrity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. corruption, against deception, illegal activities. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. For good governance and employment to develop the country. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. The trip to appeal court was merely a blindfold. They never consider elections are one of the polls. Raise up your finger, release the power, democracy come forth. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. They claim their supporters were disenfranchised, so they went to appeals court to get all the lists revised. But they did not tell the judge, and I can't understand how come they had mass migration, Gingerland to St. John's. We voting for peace, voting for progress, voting for prosperity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. For freedom of speech and of religion, justice and integrity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. Against corruption, against deception, illegal activity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. For good governance and employment to develop the country. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. The trip to appeal court was merely a blindfold. They never consider elections are one of the polls. Raise up your finger, release the power, democracy come forth. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. Show me your finger, show me your finger. Show me your finger, show me your finger. They claim the elderly must move out the way. After working all their life, no more will they have a say. But my government believe in caring for who we have. The child, the young, the elderly, and even those in rehab. We voting for peace, voting for progress, voting for prosperity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. For freedom of speech and of religion, justice and integrity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. Against corruption, against deception, illegal activities. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. For good governance and employment to develop the country. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. The trip to appeal court was merely a blindfold. They never consider elections are one of the polls. Raise up your finger, release the power, democracy come forth. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. Show me your finger, show me your finger. Show me your finger, show me your finger. They say geothermal, bad for the country, but they have no alternative with which to help we. Fuel charges heavy, till me back soon break. The opposition just opposing for opposing sake. We voting for peace, voting for progress, voting for prosperity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. For freedom of speech and of religion, justice and integrity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. Against corruption, against deception, illegal activity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. For good governance and employment to develop the country. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. The trip to appeal court was merely a blindfold. They never consider elections are one of the polls. Raise up your finger, release the power, democracy come forth. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. Show me your finger, show me your finger. Show me your finger, show me your finger. They claim fuel storage is a tragedy. We'll harm the environment and the tourist industry. But once this investment can boost the economy, we give them jackasses that robbing Pembroke Daily. We voting for peace, voting for progress, voting for prosperity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. For freedom of speech and of religion, justice and integrity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. Against corruption, against deception, illegal activities. Raise your finger. government to develop the country. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. The trip to appeal court was merely a blindfold. They never consider elections are one of the polls. Raise up your finger, release the power, democracy come forth. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. We voting for peace, voting for progress, voting for prosperity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. For freedom of speech and of religion, justice and integrity. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. Show me your finger, show me your finger. Raise your finger, raise your index finger. Show me your finger, show me your finger. Raise your finger, raise your index. NRP is the best for Nevis. The best for Nevis. Oh no, here!
Leave it!
Tell them already. NRP, I say, tell them already. Performance matters, what we people want.
Hey, yeah, hey. Overreaching them brand new houses in a cherry gram. They really caught my eyes, they end up in me beg you ban. They look like upscale project houses in downtown Manhattan. Opposition can't say nothing, you perform and things are happen. Down in St. Thomas, I perform and treat the G at thermal. It's so important to have to sing and preach it like a sermon. Find energy to save these days, I say it's so essential. Who can see the need for this, my friend, you really need my focus.
I say we tell them already. And now we tell them already. What the people know. CCM at all. And now we tell them already. And now we tell them already.
Not the cheat and chatter, and CCM at all. No mind the cheat and chatter, words we don't must cannot sustain. Performance matters been the centerpiece of our campaign. The job of opposition is to sit down and to complain. But NRP won't be complacent, we performing again. Creating jobs in four seasons, the call center expansion. In the place of medical and also missing in construction. Better healthcare, useful scholarships, access to small business. True duty, concession to everybody benefit.
I say we tell them already. And now we tell them already. What the people know. CCM at all. And now we tell them already. And now we tell them already.
New medical facilities and show universities. With development of chance to continue beauty by Nevis. I'm a hotel of the country, 100 more houses to come. Show them that performance really, really matter now. And when the big truck hit the road, load down with dirt and stone. That mean NRP they fixing up the road, 'cause they no want no battles. No, we done election on the way to the polls.
I say we tell them already. And now we tell them already. What the people know. CCM at all. And now we tell them already. And now we tell them already. What
for 2006.
VOTE-NRP, VOTE-NRP, for peace, progress, and prosperity. For peace, progress, and prosperity. Nevis, your future is in doubt. Nevis, your future is in doubt. The time come now, we're gonna vote them out. The time come now, we're gonna vote them out.
Peace.
The fabulous fight, giving over life. With NRP, Nevis must survive. A body with pride, not let it to hide. mismanagement is 14 years, you say. Nevis suffer from 1980 till 92. Let's look at what NRP done for you. Four Seasons Hotel began operations under the NRP February 91. Mount Davis Hotel, yes, it still provides employment for many people since about 89. The teachers training program by level of degree by the University of Miami. Come on. So B-O-T-E-N-R-P. Come on, everybody now, B-O-T-E-N-R-P. For peace, progress, and prosperity. For peace, progress, and prosperity. Nevis, your future is in doubt. Nevis, your future is in doubt. The time come now, we're gonna vote them out. The time come now, we're gonna vote them out. Nevis, don't you be blind. Bearing in mind, they're all about illusions and lies. You got to be wise and open your eyes and I'll be the element of surprise. Be true to your country, be true to yourself. Nevisions, you need a true government now. Foreign is big and Daniel, Hector and Hanley, people's empowerment, that's the NRP. Years of corruption, years of confusion. How many years of talking? All 14 years now. The mismanagement and victimization is 14 years, you say. Nevis suffer long from 1980 till 92. We serve you well and we want to continue. We don't fear or favor. We'll tackle crime, reduce the cost of living because it's sky high. Remove the notes and taxes to help the smaller man. Improve the health care for each and every one. All the corruption we will eradicate. Till the 88 gas before it's too late. B-O-T-E-N-R-P. B-O-T-E-N-R-P. For peace, progress, and prosperity. For peace, progress, and prosperity. Nevis, your future is in doubt. Nevis, your future is in doubt. The time come now, we're gonna vote them out. The time come now, we're gonna vote them out. Years of corruption, years of confusion. How many years of talking? All 14 years now. The mismanagement and victimization is 14 years, you say. Nevis suffer. B-O-T-E-N-R-P. For peace, progress, and prosperity. For peace, progress, and prosperity. Nevis, your future is in doubt. Nevis, your future is in doubt. The time come now, we're gonna vote them out. The time come now, we're gonna vote them out. Years of corruption, years of confusion. How many years of talking? All 14 years now. The mismanagement and victimization.
Early on, let's vote them out. CCN will have to go. Early on, let's vote them out. If it wasn't for NRP, come to strive and keep the people alive. NRP, come to make the people now. Now, yeah. Tell me how come so many people unemployed down and Nevis Rasta tell you. Tell me how come 300,000 US missing and no one can give account about that. Tell me how come people are suffer out the street. CCN, yes, we know what they beat. Tell me why so much youth have to get gunned down. CCN, them so unfair. In a Nevis, you know, CCN have to go.
Gee whiz that NRP Nevis Reformation Party. Yeah, I will say do things and make things happen.
No more than ever, this is a time for strong leadership.
The people must come first.
With NRP, everybody is paying. We have a vision to transform Nevis.
Good evening to everyone, and I say welcome to you this evening to yet another virtual meeting. The NRP Party greets you wherever you are. Residents of Nevis, St. Kitts, we say good evening. Good evening to our comrade friends of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. Good evening also to our branches, be it in New York, be it in Miami, wherever it is in the USA, the US Virgin Islands, Tortola, particularly those of you who have been with us for the past virtual meetings, we say to you, good evening. This evening, with a sense of joy, I am happy to be here in the Federation. Let me say to you, and it is now no news, that the unity government has expired. Last week, we were told that on the 12th of May, the instructions were sent to the Governor General. I believe this was no doubt disrespectful to us as citizens. Any government that would have had 5 years in office should at least give the nation ample warning of when the House will be dissolved. This week again, in the same monotone and dictatorship attitude, our Prime Minister came forward and he said to us, our election day is the 5th of June. It makes us wonder at this time, why is it we are having an election? An election with a state of emergency still in place. Some of us may very well describe it as a politically motivated lockdown, a fake political state of emergency, all done, my friends, to have an unfair advantage over the opposition. I want to say to you that we are going to rise. We are going to continue in this environment to show the mettle that we are made of. The question at this time is very well a question to all. It has to do with crime. We need to know what is the long-term plan for crime in our country. We need to know what is the long-term plan for economic survival. In Nevis, I would say to you that after repeated budget cycles, what we have had is financial uncertainty, economic stagnation, squandering of our resources. The cost overrun are many. And I would say to you, we have a number of projects on the island that we don't know when is the completion date. We have a situation where our leaders are acting like dictators. And it is time that the country, this time, as the bell has been rung, we have to send a strong, strong signal to the unity team. We have to let them understand that in a country of democracy, elections must be fair. We must not be fearful. Our rights must not be taken away from us. And we must not be under a politically motivated lockdown. My story, I think by now, you know, I would have written to the NASPA Port of Authorities seeking permission to land in Nevis. Permission was given to me, and in less than 24 hours, that permission was withdrawn. My appeal was to the chief medical officer, who saw good faith that I am a citizen of this country and would have articulated their policy of allowing nationals to return. And so, after being denied entry into Nevis, I was allowed to land in St. Kitts. I want to say to you tonight, I'm happy and thank you. Thank you to the CMO and the team, the COVID-19 team, for allowing that permission. I would have indicated that I am willing to serve my 14 days in quarantine, recognizing how important this is. My appeal to everyone is to continue to observe the safety guidelines. Continue to make sure that as a people, we keep ourselves safe. Tonight, I want to say to you that we have had 5 long years. 5 long years in which there's little to show. I am sure you would recall that these are the persons who told you in every way that they would make sure that this country is better. In Nevis, I understand it tonight that we are having a severe water shortage. Now let us say, a government that cannot provide adequate water for a country, I must say to you, after 5 years, indeed, or even 7 years, that government must be recalled. You know, water. Water has been considered by the United Nations as a basic human right. Water affects every facet of our community, every stakeholder, be it the businessman, the government, and most of all, our people. In Nevis, we've had a number of plans in terms of our water situation. Plans and promises time and time again from the Concerned Citizens Movement. I believe it is time now for you to have that opportunity to allow the Nevis Reformation Party that chance to show to you again what we can do. The federal elections are very, very important. And I want every Nevisian to understand that you must vote in this election. Do not become sidetracked with the fact that a government is using the state of emergency as an unfair advantage. I want you to go out and exercise your franchise and make sure you vote for the Nevis Reformation Party. Make sure that you vote for the Nevis Reformation Party. We have had long and hard discussion, and I want you to understand that the alternatives that we are offering you, be it in education, we have told you, needs serious direction, serious leadership. We have told you that we see the importance of having now a board of education. We have told you that it is our intention to offer tertiary education to everyone in Nevis who is capable and able and willing to forego such studies. We have said to you that as it relates to the loan that you're carrying right now, our intention for students who are having that difficult time of almost 50% of their salary going in student loans, we intend to make that reduction. Make that reduction on your interest rate. And for those of you going forward, we intend to offer you 0% on your student loan. We have also indicated to you our plans for small business. Plans to make sure, like any country, that our small business sector, that engine of growth, continue to develop. Tonight, in our program, we would be highlighting those issues that have truly affected you. We are going to be showing to you our alternatives. This evening, with me is Dr. Kelvin Daly. Dr. Daly is now a household name. I have told you that time and time again, and I've asked you to give him your support. Over a year now, Dr. Daly has been before us, indicating to us his party's plans, his plans for Constituency 9, the constituency that he wishes to serve. He has demonstrated as an educator what he will do for you. You have seen him at the Clarence Fitzroy-Bryant College. You have seen his work. He has taught at the Charleston Secondary School. Deputy principal, he has given his service. He feels at this time he can direct policy. You would recall some years ago in a presentation, he explained to you what the plans were in terms of the Clarence Fitzroy-Bryant College. He told you how important it was that the SAFE program would have ensured that a number of students would have benefited. In fact, because of the program, his testimony, not mine, was that more students were able to enroll. That is a commitment we are giving you to make sure the continuation of that program. Divisions, you are going to experience for the first time in this new dispensation, a branch of the Clarence Fitzroy-Bryant College in Nevis. You are going to have an opportunity, as I told you, to draw once again from the resources of an education board. Your children's future would be looked after. I say to you, I ask you, I beg you, each and every one in Constituency 9, the time has come for change. The situation is real. The times are hard. There are those who promised us a prosperity agenda, but that agenda has failed us. I say to you, I ask you, I beg you this evening to give Dr. Kelvin Daly that chance, the NRP party that chance to secure a positive future for your children, and future generation. We will take a break at this time, and when we come back, I would ask Dr. Daly to address you.
As youth, we cry out. We are vocal, and I, for one, cannot contain it any longer. But the current premier hears no one. We complain about the lack of employment opportunities, and he shows us his socks. We complain about the lack of opportunities to obtain a university degree, and he brags about lobster being a part of his diet. We cry in want of a better way for ourselves, a better future. And he says, look at me in my new blue suit. Are these basic things too much to ask of our premier? I think not. His record indicates that he does not care and that the job is more than he can handle. Perhaps it's time for him to go.
NRP, visionary, ready to transform Nevis. Sitting around and saying that you will not vote because things are bad is not a reason to stay at home, but it is the perfect reason to go out and vote for someone like Dr. Daly. Voting is a platform for change, and quite possibly the most important one at that, to vote in candidates that want to change the problem you see. NRP, visionary, ready to transform Nevis.
As a part of the NRP Share to Care program, the NRP Youth and NRP St. John presents Hot Dog Day. Yes, Hot Dog Day. Join us along the Prospect Main Road just outside Cherry Garden on May 22nd from 12 to 2 p.m. Bring the children along for a free hot dog and a free drink. Come, be a part of NRP Hot Dogs Day.
what a hot dog day!
Welcome back. Welcome back. And at this time, you are once again witness or sharing with us another of our virtual meeting. It's that time, as I say, we engage you in discussion. We show you the plans and programs of our great party. We look ahead. We report and we ask you to decide. This is an election year, and indeed, the time is nigh. The time is now ripe for change. I present to you our candidate, Dr. Kelvin Daly, and as I've asked you, please give him your support. Good evening, Dr. Daly. Good evening, Dr. Daly. I'm not. Good evening, Dr. Daly. Are you hearing me?
Hello.
Yes, go right ahead. Good evening, Dr. Daly.
Good evening. You can hear me?
I'm hearing you.
I'm not seeing myself. All right. Okay. I was saying good night to Mr. Hector. Welcome home. I'm certainly glad that I'm certainly happy that you're in the Federation because persons were saying you're lost at sea. But that doesn't make me, I'm very overjoyed to have you back at home in the Federation after a long absence. Not, of course, having to do with you, but of course, the worldwide shutdown. And, you know, I just came back in, Mr. Hector, from house to house campaigning in Bath. And prior to my arrival in Bath, I was told that there were operatives of the Concerned Citizens Movement giving out T-shirts and bandanas and those wristwatches, those blue wristwatches and bags and all sort of things. And we came to give out food. And, you know, we were told, you know, you guys just missed them. They came in here with some bags and these things, and you guys have come with food to help us. Because it's, you know, Bath is in a very bad way. We all know that. It's a terrible situation, and the COVID-19 has made it exceptionally worse. I mean, I visited a shop in Bath, and the shelves were practically bare because the owner of the property said, nobody has any money. So people come and they trust, and she doesn't get enough money to stock back up. And her creditors, of course, are becoming nervous, and she's unable to really stock as she wanted. And so I really applauded her effort to try to reach out to her community, someplace that she has been serving for a long time. And the question was asked, you know, what about small businesses like mine? How do I get back in the sphere of business when my shelves are empty? I have no income. I cannot restock because I have no money. So these are real pertinent issues that nobody has stepped forward to answer. The question is always asked, what is in it for the small businesses? And we have yet to hear this government literally talk about a plan about how businesses will survive. And visiting that shop really drove it home to me because this was in the heart of Bath. And it serves Bath people, of course. And the owner has really gone through a very difficult time, but it's all in trying to help neighbors who have shopped there for a long time. But now, where does she go for help? The problem I found in Bath is that a number of promises were made to people year after year after year. They're going to fix the roads. They're going to put housing. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to fix the Bath stream. They're going to fix the Bath hotel. They're going to do this and they're going to do that. And year after year, these residents of Bath have been left holding the bag. Empty promises after empty promise after empty promise. I've gone into Bath and said, listen, it is time for a new beginning. It's time now to transition away from promises to action. Mr. Hector, you know, I'm not the kind of person that talks and talks and talks about something I'm going to do. I do it. I do it. And so we have a plan for Bath. We have a plan for St. John's because the minister with responsibility for St. John's in the local seat is the same minister who is in charge of St. John's in the federal seat. The same person, one and the same. And when you go to Bath, and I have a lot of friends in Bath, and I'm in Bath almost every week, different parts of Bath. But when you look at Bath from when I was a child until now, very little has changed. Really and truly, very little has changed. And it's a testament to the neglect that Bath residents have faced, based again on false promises that they keep feeding off of. They keep promising the people of Bath a difference, and no difference ever comes. So I'm appealing to the people of Bath, listen, they have run out of time in the federal elections. They have promised again to change or to do things for you in this coming mandate. Do you believe that? What's so different now that you believe they're going to do something for you? The Premier has been the representative for St. John's federal seat since 2008. This is now 2020. And Bath has not moved 1 inch since he was the federal minister with responsibility. He became the CCM minister responsible for Bath in 2013, 7 years ago. And Bath has not moved. So from federal, from 2008 to now local 2013 to 2020, Bath has been left out of the equation. The Premier drives through on his way to Vaughan Radio every Wednesday night and now every Sunday. And he must see the state of the roads in Bath. He must see the need for housing in Bath. He must see the lack of opportunities in Bath. He must see that nothing is happening in Bath. So if you are the representative for Bath since 2012, 2008 in the federal seat, and 2012, 2015, 2013, in the local, and you have not adjusted any program, you have not crafted any policy to deal with Bath, then what is that saying to the people of Bath? I do not care. He has taken the people of Bath for granted. Simple as that. And he has empowered a few in Bath to suppress the others in Bath. And so he has his key people who go around Bath, giving out the paraphernalia, making the promises, and then disappearing. And then disappearing to the woodwork as like termites. And the people of Bath must wake up and say, listen, I am through being fooled year in and year out. A gentleman who came this afternoon for a food package, he said to me, I am glad you came with this food because they came with T-shirts and they came with bandanas and bags. And he hasn't eaten for the day. And luckily for him, I had the last care package. And this is a gentleman who votes for them religiously every cycle. They promised to fix his roof. That has been leaking, he said, before his mother died in 2011. And they came and they promised they're going to fix his roof. And every time they come to get his vote, they promise to fix his roof, and they haven't. And guess what? Come Monday, we will start to fix his roof. I reached out to some friends who have some materials, and they've agreed to come on Monday to start measuring up and get this gentleman sorted out. To get his roof from stop leaking. He said when it rains, you know, he has to put a bucket all over the place, buckets all over the place in his house because it leaks profusely. His roof was damaged in the hurricane of 2017. He's a poor guy. Nobody came to assess, to say, let's try and fix it and sort you out. This was federal money. And he did not get $1 in galvanized or wood, any material to fix that leaky roof. But yet every year they come and the Bath people vote religiously for CCM. Like I said early on, before my arrival in this particular area of Bath, the operatives in Bath came giving T-shirts, came giving bandanas and bangles and all sorts of things. How valuable is that when you're hungry? How valuable that is when you don't have any money in your pocket to buy groceries? How valuable is that when your children are looking to you for assistance and you have none? And one young lady told me they came. And I told them, when the short can eat, bring it back. When the bandana can eat, bring it back. And this is the message Bath residents need to say to these people. Keep your shirt, keep your bandanas, keep your bags, because you have not done anything for me all these years of me voting for you. When I drive to Bath, Mr. Hector, I mean, there are places in Bath people have yet to see. There are buildings behind buildings, yards behind yards that are away from public view. And the people are living in a state that nobody can imagine that should be occurring in 2020 in St. John's, the parish where the premier is a parliamentary representative. I've never seen this level of neglect anywhere else on Nevis. I'm being honest with you. I've never seen this level of neglect that I see in Bath, at every level. And we have said we are going to start our development program in Bath. This program is called the St. John's Community Redevelopment Program. But this program will get kicked off in Bath. So this leg of the program is called the Bath Community Redevelopment Program under the larger umbrella of the St. John's Community Development Program. And it has 4 or 5 serious components in it. The first component, and these are in no order or special order. The first component addresses the shortage of housing, proper housing in Bath. I'm tired of seeing these ramshackle houses that people are living in. It's undivision, it's inhumane. People are still using outhouses in Bath Village, Mr. Hector. And this is the year 2020. People are still having to head water in Bath, Mr. Hector. And this is the year 2020. Promises after promises made by this government. So we have said one of the components must be affordable housing. And we have applied this rent-to-own concept to affordable housing in Bath Village. I have spoken to 2 developers, one from St. Kitts, one from Nevis. How can we create a public-private partnership to develop housing in Bath along the rent-to-own concept? People are very excited when they hear the rent-to-own because many of those people do not qualify for commercial loans. They do not have the 20% required to secure that loan, the down payment. What we have said, if you are accepted into the program, you move into the unit and you continue to pay rent as if you normally do now. At the end of 3 years, the money that you have paid into the scheme, 75% of that goes towards your purchase of the home. We have said those persons who are in the higher income brackets between $4,000 and $6,000 a month, we're going to build again with public-private partnerships, more modest, more affluent homes for those kind of people. But we are going to negotiate with the banks, with those people, 0% down, 5% interest over 30 years. Those are for the persons who, of course, have higher incomes. The difficulty with a lot of these young people who want to strike out on their own, they are still paying the college fees at the development bank, like you indicated, almost 50% of their salaries. They really can't get a start for the next 10 years. So we have taken on that for them and said, listen, we are going to provide affordable housing, whether you're a college grad or you just have a certificate in some skills trade or something. So that is a housing component. We want to do at least 40 homes per year over a 3-year period. Another component of the housing is that we're not simply looking at freestanding houses. We're also looking at more affordable units within the housing scheme for apartment-type condominiums. So you have a 2-level condominium complex, 2 and 3 bedrooms, persons who simply do not want a yard space or they cannot bother with it, or people who have more modest income, they can get a unit. They own the unit. Where else in the world can you own a unit except in a condominium complex? We are offering individuals that choice, that they can own a condominium unit within a complex. Within a complex. This is a plan that we believe a lot of the single people who do not have time to be mining grass and mining flowers and all that will find appealing. The unit is yours. If you want to sell it, it is yours to sell. If you want to trade up, you can trade up. That is a housing component. The other component has to do with the interconnectivity of Bath, the road networks in Bath. Terrible. I mean, I was by a gentleman there, a young guy I taught at CSS, and he says, I was born in Bath, right here in this house. And this road here is the same road I walked on when I went to boys' school, went to primary school. No change, except it's gotten worse. Except that it has gotten worse. And this gentleman is about maybe 30 years old. It has gotten worse. Nobody has come through there to say, listen, what are the issues? All they come to bring you is a bandana and a bag. Can you eat the bandana and the bag? No. But the third component, after the road network is completed, that's about another $10 million worth of road project, road installation in Bath. You're talking about then, how do people in Bath make a living? How can we empower them? How can we create work for them? Besides those persons, of course, who are building the condominium complex, besides those persons who are building the rent-to-own freestanding houses. Besides that, what else can we do to empower the people in Bath? One of the things that I found very striking in Bath, Mr. Hector, people are entrepreneurial. Bath has always been a place where people have very independent way of thinking, except when it comes to politics. But people in Bath are entrepreneurs by nature. They're fishers, they're business owners, they're all kinds of things. The young man, I spoke to a young man and I said, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep working the way you're working now, or do you want to strike out on your own? And where would you prefer to strike out? It's a very interesting conversation, a very bright young man. And he said to me, I want my own business, but I can't afford to do it, the business in Charlestown. The rent is too high. And I want to be able to hire somebody to help me, but I don't have the kind of capital. I said to him, this is what we're going to do in Bath. We are going to build business type incubators. A business incubator is a very simple concept. Nothing new about it. All it is a factory shell, which is divided up into units. 2-story normally. Proper parking, proper landscaping, all that. Looks nice. The purpose of this is to encourage development within the community. So the same young man who said he wants to start his own business, limited money, limited resources, we are saying to him, listen, you can get a unit out of the 20 units we are going to build. You can get one. You have to pay. You would not be able to. You would not have to pay rent for 4 years. 4 years, the government is going to invest in your business. That rent, so you do not have to worry about that cost, because whether he's making money or not, he has to pay his rent. Businesses typically take about 4 years to mature and start being profitable, typically. So I'm using 4 years as the international standard for when businesses become successful. And he became excited because then he starts seeing his own dream coming through, that he can finally own his own business, make his own decisions, hire who he wants to hire, expand how he wants to expand. And a number of persons in Bath, when they approach, all they want is an opportunity to do and make their own way. They don't want handouts. They want to be made whole. They want to be able to participate in a society, not just onlookers. And so this young man was quite excited, and other persons have been quite excited because they don't now have to go into Charlestown to work. They can step out their homes, walk across the road, and go to work. And what that does to a community, it builds a community. It strengthens that community, right? And so this whole idea of disaggregating Charlestown, move it away from Charlestown, all that congestion, high rents, and all that, you bring it into the community so people live. That is a concept that should be applied across Nevis, not just in Bath or wherever else, across the island. Open up our communities, strengthen our communities, and you'll see a difference in how people start behaving, because they're now owners of this. And so we want to get 20 units. If somebody outside the Bath wants to get a unit, one condition: if you're going to get a concession on the rent, one concession, one caveat: you must employ somebody from Bath. You must employ somebody from Bath. This is how you build resilience in a community, by strengthening employment opportunities, by strengthening entrepreneurial opportunities in a community. That's how you build resilience in a community. Then the fourth component, most of the people on Nevis know Bath as a fishing village. Everybody knows Bath. What has Bath gotten for all that accolade that Bath is a home of fishing in the greater Charleston area? What have they gotten from that notoriety? You have people like Colin Huggins in Bath. You have people like Berkeley Wade, all the big Wades, his other brother. You had people like Lulu, who now lives in Bath. You have my friend Myron Dorr, who everybody knows as Boom. You have, Tatai and the whole Wade clan. Then you had the old officials, Darrell Dorr, who have passed to the great beyond. You had Tamin from Bath, who also passed to the great beyond. Bath is known as one of the preeminent fishing villages. What does Bath have to show for that notoriety? I dare anybody to tell me what. They push the boats down the same way. They pull them up the same way. They launch from the same area. no amenities, no support. We have said it is time to change. It is time to empower those fishers, make their lives a lot easier. A fisher worries most about their boats anytime there's a swell, a tidal surge, or hurricane. What protection? Even the smallest swell. You could go down Gallows Bay, on the south end of Gallows Bay, and you see the fishers down there worried, making sure that their boats do not pull the mooring or break anchor. We are saying it's time to help the fishers in Bath. So what we are proposing, Mr. Hector, on the southern end of Gallows Bay, we are going to build a revampment that just like in Port Santé, very low-tech block. I mean, we got boulders on Nevis and the water is shallow. So just go out from just above Henke there, go out in a nice arc, build up and use that as a protected area, a small marina. Connecting from that will be a nice little jetty. But here the difference. That jetty would have marine refueling capacity. So the fishers do no longer have to go to Delta or Reliable Motors or anywhere else to load those heavy fuel tanks and fuel jugs anywhere. You can simply come to the dock, load up your fuel, load up your ice, load up your coolers, and off you go. That is something we can do for Bath very easily. I've seen, when I used to go to St. Martin for fishing tournaments, the same little idea at Bobby's Marina. Just, if you go down Front Street in St. Martin, keep going down, you will run right into Bobby's Marina. Very low tech, but highly effective marina. Helpful, makes life easier for fishers to do their trade. Why is that a problem? Why is it a problem? Why can't we get these little things done to help the fishers and empower the people in Bath? Then you go a little further east to the fourth component. The abomination up there now, which is the Bath Springs. It's an abomination. As a youth, I used to love going to Bath Springs. Now you couldn't get me to go in there, especially in the traditional area, which I prefer. It's mud, it's shallow, it's slimy. I have never seen, Mr. Hector, you may correct me, but in all the years I used to go to Bath Springs, I have never seen moss growing in Bath Springs. There's no moss all over in Bath Springs because the water is shallow, it's not moving, and nobody cleans. Well, when they feel pressure, they clean it. There's grass growing down where we used to bathe, Mr. Hector. I went down the other day and there were sheep down there grazing on the grass in Bath Springs. This is ridiculous. And so we are saying it is time to really do something about opportunities in Bath to use that Bath Spring. I've approached several people, and I know there was a plan afoot, and even funding, I understand, was available at one point to build a world-class spa there at Bath Springs. A world-class spa. We have a resource that has been with us from time immemorial, and we have not done anything with it. We have simply allowed it to go by the wayside. But when you look at videos from Japan, America, Canada, Scandinavia, Iceland, for Christ's sakes, you're seeing all the same concepts, hot springs coming up and buildings put over them. You can now bathe in comfort in larger spaces. You can have your hot therapy. You're going to have your aromatherapy. You're going to have massages. You're going to have everything. Employing our young people, empowering our young people. What is so difficult? The government received, since 2015, Mr. Hector, $250 million for development purposes on Nevis. Why couldn't we have put aside 10 million of that to invest in a Bath Spring program, sauna, indoor sauna? Why couldn't we have invested some of it into developing the most historical site on Nevis, the oldest known hotel in the Caribbean, perhaps, Bath Hotel? Why couldn't we have had the vision to say, listen, We have more than enough money. We spent $15 million so far on a half completed Wonder Track. Just to give you an example. $15 million for a 1 year, 1 day a year race into primary. 1 day a year. And we have Bark Spring down there growing moss and growing grass with sheep grazing in a hot spring. Incredible. So why can't we do simple things like this? And then you have, next door to that, of course, the historic Bath Hotel. And my vision for that is to create a museum of natural history. The Bath Community Museum of Natural History. When I travel abroad, especially to America, one of the places I love to visit is the American Museum of Natural History in Manhattan. It gives you connection. It gives you a sense of connectivity to humanity, to our history, what then and what is now. Where is it in Nevis we can get that? You go to the Nelson, you go to Alexander Hamilton Museum to learn about Alexander Hamilton. He was born here, that's about all he did here. But what about the people who have built communities on Nevis? What about people who have given their life in different avenues in the communities? I should better go to Bath Community Museum of Natural History and see a portrait or even a wax figure of Darrell Dorr, of Tamin, of Renata Morton, of Elkamida Willett, of Derek Parry. I must see one of our great fifer from Rollins with narrative to describe the contribution they have made in this country. I want to see one of Janet Greta Hall and her mother, Miss Stevens, the political directorate from time immemorial. But we are not doing that. Where is our history, our maritime history? Where is it captured? So our young people can feel proud of us. We know more about American history and British history than we own. And it is sad. That is sad. But where do we start? Where do we start? We must start right there at Bath Hotel, the most historic site we have on the island. Get our young people interested in their own culture, in their own history. We had Caribs, we had Arawaks. Where are they in our diaspora? Where are they in our history? All we learn, and I remember, Caribs ate Arawaks. That's what the British tell us. Caribs ate Arawaks, and we believed it up to now. That the chief was named some Kasika, something like that. Where is the history of our country? Where is the recognition of the contribution that we've made as people here in this country? We wait until they die to say something else. The last component of this Bath Redevelopment Program, we have spoken about the incubators, we have spoken about Bath Hotel and Bath Stream, we have spoken about the marina, we've spoken about the roads. What else can we do in Bath? Mr. Hector, you recall the conversation we've had that we need to set up a center of excellence for skills development. And the site of preferred use is at Bath Hill, Bath Plains, the old Dr. what's his name is, building. The government purchased it last year under this guise. We found out about it, and they have now, the obvious use of it was to build a premier's residence. That was the plan, to build a premier's residence. After we outed them out about it, after we brought it to the public, they changed it and said, oh, it's just a natural extension of the Bath Cemetery. Remember the conversation? That's what they said. It's a natural extension of the Bath Cemetery. Now you want to spend $1.9 million for expansion of the Bath Cemetery onto prime land and on top of Bath Plains, the old Huggins property. Now they have converted it, they've tried to convert it into a quarantine area for COVID-19. That is what is being presently thought to be used for. But we didn't have the explosion in COVID-19 like we anticipated. But that would be an ideal site. It's the right size. It's close to Bath Village. It can be incorporated in the general Bath development program. And our young people can get training in the industrial trades, in the construction trades, and in the health and beauty areas. Those opportunities definitely will create the kind of employment, the kind of paycheck that these people can now afford a proper lifestyle, a proper living, standard of living. Because when you go to university or you go to a trade school, the expectation is that the qualifications you get will afford you a higher income bracket. And with a higher income bracket comes more security. You can now invest in homes, property, car, the children's education, whatever it is. That is what we want. We don't want to see poverty. We don't want to see poor people. We want to empower them to move. It's been too long. It's been too long. And it's time that Bath is recognized and moved with the rest of the country. But you see, Mr. Hector, when you live up on top of the hill and you look down, you want to have a compare and contrast. Look at them down there and look at me up here. I'm looking good, they're looking bad. And when you keep people in poverty, it's so much easier to control them. It's so much easier to dominate them and to fool them. A man once said, there's not more dangerous than an educated person. Nobody's more dangerous. And so this is the fear that they have of educating people, of empowering people. This is the fear. And I say one more thing, Mr. Hector. Show me one house. I didn't even ask me for a half house. Show me one house in the whole of St. John's that Mr. Brantley built for anybody. Show me one house in the entire St. Paul's where he's responsible for the federal seat. Show me one house, affordable house that he has built. So from 2008 as a federal minister, from 2013 as a local minister, show me a house in St. John's, show me a house in St. Paul that somebody can say, the Premier gave me this key and allowed me to go into my own home. I challenge anybody to show me that house. Anybody to show me that house. And he is the Premier, before that, the Deputy Premier, before that, the leader of the opposition. Every opportunity to do right by the people of St. John's. And every time he has dropped the ball. He always said, Mr. Hector, fish were done fried, don't want no oil. So Bath people, St. John's people, St. Paul people, in his mind, they're already fried. They don't need no oil. But come election day, June 5th, I want to see the people stand up for once and protect their own interests and vote for change and vote for Kelvin Daly.
As youth, we cry out. We are vocal, and I, for one, cannot contain it any longer. But the current premier hears no one. We complain about the lack of employment opportunities, and he shows us his socks. We complain about the lack of opportunities to obtain a university degree, and he brags about lobster being a part of his diet. We cry and want of a better way for ourselves, a better future. And he says, look at me in my new blue suit. Are these basic things too much to ask of our premier? I think not. His record indicates that he does not care and that the job is more than he can handle. Perhaps it's time for him to go.
NRP, visionary, ready to transform Nevis. Sitting around and saying that you will not vote because things are bad is not a reason to stay at home, but it is the perfect reason to go out and vote for someone like Dr. Daly. Voting is a platform for change, and quite possibly the most important one at that, to vote in candidates that want to change the problem you see. NRP, visionary, ready to transform Nevis.
As a part of the NRP Share to Care program, the NRP Youth and NRP St. John presents Hot Dog Day. Yes, Hot Dog Day. Join us along the Prospect Main Road just outside Cherry Garden on May 22nd from 12 to 2 p.m. Bring the children along for a free hot dog and a free drink. Come, be a part of NRP Hot Dogs Day.
What a hot dog day!
Thank you very much. Welcome back. And tonight you're with the Nevis Reformation Party as we give you an outline of our plans for you, the good people of Nevis. Let me say a special good evening to the youth arm of the Nevis Reformation Party. Truly, we are happy for the level of activity, the joy with which you have served the party and you are moving in this election. As I said from the start, we are seeing an attempt by many to have an unfair advantage. But as a party, we are going to move forward. I am asking for you, the good people in Nevis 9, from the top of the constituency to the bottom and border in Low Street, I ask you for your support. I ask you please to support the Nevis Reformation Party, the party that has always delivered, the party who truly understands the plight of the Nevisian person and the resident, those who live among us, those who we've opened our doors to. And we ask all the communities to support the Nevis Reformation Party. Peace, progress, and prosperity. Thank you so much for joining us again this evening, as I ask Dr. Daly once again to continue with the outline of this program and his promises as it relates to delivery of the Nevis Reformation Party, given that opportunity to serve you, the good people, in this federal election. I ask you, I beg you to give your support to the Nevis Reformation Party. Dr. Daly? Your mic, Dr. Daly. Unmute your mic, Dr. Daly.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, Mr. Hector, I am a bit disappointed that we only have 50 more minutes because I'm just getting warmed up. You know, we have so much policies on board, so many plans and programs for rescuing small businesses, for helping our youth to, for entrepreneurship and education. But our host, Mr. Lestrade, is saying that we have only 15 minutes left. But I will try to make it as brief as I can. Now, I don't even want to begin talking about agriculture because it's going to take me 2 days to explain the depth and breadth of the plans and programs we have for agriculture, and the necessity. Because let me say one brief thing about agriculture. It's amazing to me that the government just realized since COVID-19 that agriculture is important. That's an amazing admission that I have neglected ever since 2013 when it came into power. What we built, what we were trying to do to transform agriculture, if that continued on the path, on that trajectory, imagine where we would have been today. Imagine that, whether in poultry, meaning both eggs and meat, whether in fisheries, whether it's on land fish farming or on sea farming, whether it was the fisheries complex, whether it was in greenhouse technology. Imagine where we would have been today. We had laid the groundwork for exportation of farm fresh products to St. Martin, to Angola, to Statia, to St. Bart's. Where are we now? They ripped apart the entire program, put Winer Girl to be the PS, delivered nothing during this entire mandate there at the PS of Agriculture, pushed the programs that we started aside and didn't bring in any new ones. Where are we now? Within Bank, we started, Mr. Hector. You planted the first tree up there in the river. The first citrus, you planted it. You planted the first coconut tree up there in the river. Where is that gene bank now? Down to the wind. Gone. Where is the fish farming experimental pond we built at Prospect? Gone. Why haven't we expanded on agriculture in terms of the agro-processing? No expansion. It's the same place we left it in 2013. Where is the animal control, especially the monkey control program? Somebody asked the premier the other day on his shows, what about the monkeys? You're talking about expanding agriculture. When monkeys don't cut our throats. He said, we have a plan for that. We have a plan. But what is the plan? You're encouraging backyard farming and saying, the more hands on deck, the better. But yet, you are giving backyard farmers, and I'm not making this up, this is not Hollywood. You're giving backyard farmers 18 seeds, 1/8. Let me say that again. You're giving backyard farmers 18 seeds, 6 string beans, 6 corn, 6 squash. To go where? To do what with? Is this how the minister said he's going to transform agriculture and stop tropical from coming? Really? Don't get me started. Do not get me started. You know how I feel about agriculture, Mr. Hector. We can do so much in agriculture. And if the people of Nevis want to really see a change in agricultural productivity, in agricultural output, in agricultural export, this government here will not do it for you. Whether at the federal level or at the local level. They will not do it. They cannot do it. They're incapable of doing it because they have no vision. Have no vision whatsoever. None. I have offered free of charge, any consultancy they wish to engage me in any aspect of agriculture, whether it's livestock, root crop, or tree crop. I've offered my expertise free of cost to the Namibian people. I want nothing but do it. They will never do it. Because it means an admission that the person with the most expertise in this country about agriculture and matters of agriculture, they threw him away. And they cannot admit that they made a mistake. But I'm a humble person, Mr. Hector. And the first thing my mother taught me, when you make a mistake, you apologize and you move on. That is a mark of maturity. You apologize and you move on. I don't even want an apology. Say, Mr. Daly, Dr. Daly, we need your help on designing a program on making us more self-sufficient in poultry, in broiler meat. How can we stop importation? How can we empower farmers for them to be a part of the matrix of supply? How? I have the answers. You know that. We worked together a long time. So what I'm telling you is nothing new. And this was a movement, the trajectory that we were moving on. But that was all truncated, it all stopped. But let me move on from agriculture, because there's another aspect people need to be aware of. And it's in education. Education is the power of the masses. That is where the focus must be. Because whether you're in agriculture, whether you're in fisheries, whether you're in product development, whatever it is, you must be educated. And how this country has educated the masses of the people is an abomination. Prior to free, only a selected few people were allowed to go. A lot of people were held back in primary school, never got a chance to go to secondary school and beyond. And after universal education came along, persons migrated naturally into high school. And we are saying, where have we gone since? What changes have we made since? Have we now empowered these persons? Have we created an avenue for those persons who are struggling at the primary school to modify, to reinforce their learning before they get to high school? Because my concept is simple, Mr. Hector. If you are doing 4 basic subjects at primary school, and you are reading below grade level by the time you get to high school, which you now have 9 subjects to do, how are you going to catch up? Without remediation, without adjustments in the curriculum, how are you going to catch up? You cannot. And so you find students coming into the high schools unprepared. Without remediation, those students fall further and further back. And guess what? They become the antisocial group. The rude boys and the rude girls feel that they don't belong anywhere. And we have allowed this condition to persist decade after decade, year after year, and expect miracles to happen when those same students go into the communities where they live. How is that possible? How is that possible? Look to see who is in prison. You're not going to find anybody who went to university unless he's a thieving lawyer somewhere. You're not going to find anybody from sixth form who in prison. You're not going to find anybody from 5A1 or 5A2. Who are you going to find down there at 1810 or whatever you call the place? Who are you going to find? Those students who the school system failed, who society failed. This is why you cannot ever stop crime without fixing education. Fix it. And it's easy to fix. It takes a commitment by the government to recognize in the first instance that there's a problem. There's a problem of assessment, there's a problem of curriculum, there's a problem of even security at the schools. There's a problem of environment at the schools. You go to the schools, and if I'm a first-time student, I want to turn back and go home. Because the schools do not embody, doesn't give that confidence that this is a place of learning. I admire the teachers and support our teachers 1,000%. I was a teacher. And I know the difficulties we were having. And the difficulties even more now. And so I said to the people of Nevis, when you vote for a government, what are you really voting for? What are you really voting for? Do you really want change, or are you just saying you want change? Do you believe the things that you're really saying, that this guy is good because he wears pretty clothes and speaks well? That you're saying the program can't be run any better? Have you given up? Have you lost confidence that there are people out there who can do better? That would be a sad commentary, because this better can always be done. There's always room for improvement. But when you keep putting all those eggs in the same basket, and those eggs are being broken day in and broken day out, and you expect miracles to happen after that, it doesn't go like that. It doesn't work like that. You must be brave enough to say, I'm going to take a chance on something new. I supported this party before. They have not done what I expected them to do. Why are we allowing a few well-positioned people in our society to dictate for the rest of us? Why? Those same people, because of their connection to the government, they're sitting on boards, they're well paid, they get inside information on contracts. You see them driving all sorts of fancy cars. One guy I know drives a nice European model car, gets $6,000 every month to be a consultant on the Mondo track. Every month, $6 grand. Sits on 2 boards. And you could see him on Facebook defending, if the premier says X, he says X, sir. If the premier said jump, he said, how high, sir? If the premier said turn around, let me slap you, yes, sir. Singing for his supper. But he and others like him are out there peddling this nonsense that the government is doing well. Keep the momentum. Keep what momentum? The only momentum this country has is down. And they who are benefiting are creating this image that somehow things are well, that the pain you feel at night because you're hungry, they're not pain. That's joy. When you get a headache, you got a headache. Man, that's joy. This is what the narrative is. Make you feel that what is wrong is right, that up is down, in is out. When the deputy leader of this country, Mr. Hector, could go in 2012 in print and say, if you elect Patrice Nisbet, you are putting too much power in the hands of one man. If Patrice Nisbet wants to represent the people of St. James, he must resign from the federal cabinet. He said the election of Patrice Nisbet is undemocratic. These were his words. Undemocratic. And guess what? For the first time in my life, I agreed with him. Perhaps the last and first time in my life I agreed with anything he has to say. But he was right. Fast forward to 2013, the same man got elected to the local seat in St. James. And in 2015, the words he spoke in 2012 were no longer important. He wants you now, and his handlers and his backers want to say, look beyond those words I spoke in 2012. Look beyond the petition I circulated, signed by the Premier, Vance Emery, and the Deputy Premier, Mark Brantley, in 2013. Look at that. And he said, look beyond it. Look beyond it. Those are just words. Well, that's just, Mr. Hector, People are entitled to their opinions. People are entitled to their own facts. And Mr. Jeffers and Mr. Bradley and Mr. Evelyn and all those who argued vociferously, who argued convincingly that dualism was a bad idea, that you should not serve in both cabinets. Those same people are now telling you, barefacedly telling you, I didn't mean it. I was joking. Look beyond it. Get over it. And people are buying this. Intelligent people who understand what Mr. Jeffers said is actually correct. It was correct then, it is correct now. But because they are protecting their own interests, they're protecting their board positions, they're protecting their high salaries, they're protecting their interests, their high lifestyle. It's all about them. This cabal, this small group of persons who year in and year out live like kings and queens. But we, the small men and women in this country, are supposed to believe them and say, Mr. Jeffers didn't mean it like that. Well, how else can you interpret this? How else can you say that democracy is in danger if too much power is in one man's hand? These are facts. Whether he meant it then or he don't mean it now, too much power in one man's hand. What did he say? He said, absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is not accident. This is not accident. So when people in Nevis are contemplating sending these three gentlemen to St. Kitts, and they have a problem in Nevis that they need fixed by a minister in Nevis, and you're on the wrong side, or even on the right side sometimes, and you go to them and you say, Mr. Minister, I need some help in getting this, and they turn you down. And you say, you know what? This is a federal matter too. I'm going to St. Kitts and complain. And you go into that room to complain, and guess what? You see the same three ministers. Dog get with you. Dog get with you. And this is what absolute power means. You're giving all this power to the same people who will dominate you here in Nevis and dominate you in St. Kitts. We are saying there must be a different way. The NRP changed its own constitution in 2016 to reflect that ideology that too much power in one man's hand is bad. And so we changed our constitution to prevent anyone from contesting and securing both seats, federal and local. We did that because it was the right thing to do. These guys are not coming telling you it's not the right thing to do. Give us the power. It is wrong. Because when the power comes, the small man and woman, the John Bob on the road, has no choice but to listen and no choice but to obey when they're commanded. Mr. Hector, good evening.
Hi, I am Saneldo Willett, President of the Youth Arm of the Nevis Reformation Party. Before I commence, I would simply wish to assure you that as a youth, your voice matters to us, and I here and now encourage you to get out and register to vote. If you need assistance, then please contact me or any member of the NRP, and we will be delighted to assist you. On election day, let us rally together as youths, and most importantly, as the future of this great nation is at stake. I encourage you to vote for the candidates that have displayed a real vision and a real passion for the development of our country and the advancement of our youths. I also appeal to you to join the NRP Youth Arm. Like you, I was of two minds. Did I really want to join a political movement? The answer was a resounding no. But I now must confess that joining the NRP Youth Arm has been perhaps the most rewarding decision that I have made in my short lifetime. As youths, we have been on organized field trips, dinners, parties, fundraising events. We have assisted in organizing and participating in the party's major function, and perhaps most importantly, we have had an opportunity to have our voices heard in the party's development plans for the future of Nevis. We have had an opportunity to advance opinions on a wide range of issues. We have led the charge for a new independent, state-of-the-art Navy Sixth Form College, a new accredited technical school, financial assistance for each and every youth whose desire it is to attend university. We will provide interest-free loans to youths who wish to start their own businesses, and also 500 new affordable housing solutions for youths. As a youth group, we are advocating for youths to play a more active role in government. We believe that the expansion of our economy is of utmost importance so that when you have received your university degree, you can feel comfortable returning home. Too many of our young people who have finished sixth form has found themselves in grocery stores, packing bags or cashing a register. We will advocate for the provision of 2,500 new jobs. As a youth, I have witnessed our tourism industry mercilessly brought to its knees, and we are busy working on a comprehensive tourism plan to produce an industry for which we all would be proud. It is no secret that our industry has been crippled and left for dead. As a youth president, I have advocated for the sports tourism programs that will encourage capital investments in sporting programs, training, stadiums, and facilities in areas such as cricket, football, drag racing, and your international standard horse racing track, and perhaps professional sports such as basketball and baseball. These are just a few of the things that the leadership of the NRP has valued our opinions as a springboard to drafting policies and programs for the greater good of all divisions. The leaders of NRP are listening to us. We are the Performance Party, the only party with a visionary plan for the development of Nevis. Together, we can do this. NRP Visionary, NRP Youth Arm, ready to transform Nevis. Join the NRP Youth Arm now. It is for young people for all ages up to 35 years. Please visit the NRP headquarters at Nelson Spring or follow us on Facebook at NRP Official, or visit our website at www.nrp2020.com. You can also email us at visionarynrp@gmail.com.
Thank you very much, and welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're listening to the Nevis Reformation Party as we put forward our plans, our projections for this federal election that is upon us. I want to invite you to our hot dog day that is on Friday from 12 noon until 2 p.m., an activity of the Youth Arm and the St. John's Group. Feel free to support this effort. It would take place in St. John's, right across on the Prospect Main, just in front of Cherry Garden. Do support the Nevis Reformation Party. And at this time, support also our K-Drive. I want to also invite you to join us on Friday at 7 o'clock when we have our launch. It's going to be exciting, and I want you to join us on Friday at 7 p.m. We would be bringing our launch virtually. Tonight with us and in the house, we have my friend and brother, the Honorable Patrice Nisbet. Patrice has served you for a long time, but indeed, I know you can say that your representative for Nevis 11 has been a man that has given to the community the programs. You know what they are. His contribution to education, our foreign minister. I want you tonight to welcome Patrice Nisbet, the incumbent, and I ask you to give him your support, as you have always done in Nevis 11. Good night, Mr. Nisbet, and welcome.
Good night, Mr. Hector, our party leader. Good night to Dr. Daly. And I want to say a very special good night to those who are listening this broadcast, whether it is via the World Wide Web, Facebook, YouTube, or whatever media is being used to review it. I want to say a very special good evening to the soldiers and the comrades and the entire citizenry of St. Christopher and Nevis. Of course, I am advised that my time this evening is very limited. And so I would want in the very few minutes that I have to speak to the people to say that an election is upon us. The executive, the prime minister, and all those who are in charge of that process, they have decided that the election will be on the 5th of June, when the people of the country will be asked to decide who should govern the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis for the next 5 years. They have asked the people under a state of emergency to come out and exercise their franchise. They have asked us as candidates to campaign under very stringent circumstances, very onerous circumstances, because we don't have the very free will that we normally have to campaign in order to ensure that our elections are free and fair, in order to ensure that there is in fact a level playing field when it comes to this election cycle. Some people have been told you can't go to church. Some people have been told you can't go to school. Some people have been told you're not an essential worker. But yet still, people have been seen having public meetings in Nevis and in St. Kitts. Public meetings where the audience is there, scores of people are there, and all you normally hear is about this idea about social and physical distancing. I believe one of the easiest places you can have social or physical distance, whatever you call it, is in a church. It is so difficult. What are they going to do in these 4? They are going to appoint a social distancing person, consultant. Somebody is going to be there to what? Police the level of social distancing. I really don't know what in fact would have transpired. And so if it has now come, and if it is now the belief that there is no justification anymore, there is no reasonable justification anymore for the imposition of a 6-month state of emergency, the government ought to do the proper thing. Must do the proper thing. Adjust the regulations or go back to the parliament and deal with the matter. Because I am not so sure in my mind, how can you justify to the nation of St. Christopher and Nevis that there can't be no church, but yet still there can be public political meetings. It's a little difficult to justify. And under the Constitution, one has to be able to justify the imposition of a state of emergency. It's not a willy-nilly matter. It cannot be done arbitrarily. It cannot be done capriciously. Because we know what a state of emergency does. It is unprecedented action. It involves a suspension of your fundamental rights and freedom. I should have the right to go and campaign any time of day I want. But no, the government or the executive, in order to design something to bring some level of unfair advantage to them, they have imposed the state of emergency. Because we all know now in St. Christopher and Nevis that the state of emergency has nothing at this point in time to do with COVID-19. Because if we are COVID-free, why is there still the need for a 6-month state of emergency in St. Kitts and Nevis? If there are no new cases, if people are allowed to have political meetings, people are allowed to go to the Marriott or wherever, have motorcades, all other type of political activity, well, then I want to ask, what is the reasonable justification for the continuation of the state of emergency during this particular period? I would want to come to the irresistible conclusion that the continuation is designed clearly to limit the ability of those who are in the opposition to advance their political campaign during this period. But I believe the people of St. Christopher and Nevis, they are wise people. They understand when their sense of justice is being offended. They understand when they are being taken advantage of. The people said, listen, we took the sacrifice of having these lockdowns in order to ensure that we didn't have a serious situation with regards to this pandemic. But now, we have been able to overcome that hurdle. What is the justification for the continued sacrifice being made by the people of St. Christopher and Nevis? And it is obvious by the conduct of the government officials, the executive in St. Kitts and Nevis, that this is purely about politics and not a pandemic. And so my people, you are now being called upon to go to the polls. You are now being called upon to exercise your franchise. And so I want to say to you that you must use your vote wisely. And you must always use your vote as a weapon against injustice, a weapon against victimization, and a weapon against oppression, and a weapon against the government trying to oppress your ability
to participate effectively in a political campaign for the party of your choice. And so I believe our good people of St. Kitts and Nevis, they understand a sense of fairness. They understand a sense of justice and equality. And I believe that they will go out in their numbers and do the right thing on polling day. No amount of dancing is going to change that. And no amount of saying you pull one on the opposition is going to affect that. As if it's some trickery in this. No, that's not how we fight elections. We fight elections on the basis that there is in fact a level playing field for all those who are prepared to participate in the process. They are indeed allowed to participate. So, my dear people, I want to remind you this evening that as the election approaches, the government must present to you its report card. It has to present to you what has been its record of performance and achievement. They would have told you that a critical plank of their campaign in the last election was their good governance agenda. And I want to ask people of St. Christopher and Nevis tonight, do you believe that the good governance agenda is being advanced to have elections under these circumstances? That is a question that you have to consider. That is a question that you have to ponder when you are going to exercise your franchise in these elections. Because good governance has to be across the board. It just can't be for one side and not for the other side. It has to be in equilibrium. And so, my dear people, we obviously have seen no equity in this situation. We have seen how some have been favored and others have not. For the last 5 years, you have had the opportunity to observe this government. And they would have told you time and time again how they were going to advance good governance in this country. They said they were going to bring integrity in public life. They said they were going to bring transparency, accountability. That's what they told you. But we need to examine their record. And I don't have sufficient time this evening to do that. But I want to remind you this evening, remember what they did with the Public Accounts Committee. I also want to remind you the integrity in public life. Where is the commission? Has it been operationalized? Has it been properly financed? I want to remind you of the court cases in St. Kitts and the Nevis that have spoken about the misbehavior
of ministers of government in this present administration. You hear about misappropriation of money, and misappropriation could only mean one thing. It's either you thief or you don't thief. So even if you thief and you pay back, it's still thief. That is basic in law. Once you take it and you carry it away, even if you bring it back, you have already formed the requisite mental element of the crime. In Nevis, 2 High Court judges, they have spoken about the misbehavior of ministers of government, High Court judges. Speaking about the unusual would have happened, where they said the deputy premier in Mark Brantley was negotiating on behalf of a developer in relation to the Anbas matter. That is there for the record. Justice Ramdani, in his judgment, spoke about that. We know about the Nevis Paradise matter, where the cabinet led by Mark Brantley, when a client of the law firm that he owns was making an application in relation to some development on a coastal area of Nevis, the cabinet made a decision that was contrary or in breach, or I should say against the laws of Nevis and the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And the judge said the cabinet did not have the interests of the people of Nevis at heart. And also, apart from those decisions, I must remind the people tonight that a minister of finance at the federal level came to Nevis and condemned the Premier of Nevis, Minister of Finance from the federal cabinet, a cabinet colleague, came to Nevis and said, our Premier has squandered $200 million. It is in the records. He came on a Saturday morning unannounced, went to Newcastle at the fire hall and told the nation how squandermania is the order of the day here on the island of Nevis. That is a minister of finance reporting on the lack of performance of the minister of finance on the island of Nevis. And so, my dear people, if you have these instances, because these are the records, if these are there, you gave them a chance in 2015, and they have demonstrated to you in no uncertain way that this is what they are capable of doing. What are you going to do? Are you going to send them back to Bastia? My dear people, can you say that they have done a good job in relation to the trust that you repose in them in 2015? Can you say that? No reach, no computer. They have taken all those things from the children of Nevis. So, my dear people, I want to say to you that Dr. Daly, our candidate for Nevis 9, he has presented a program
a very pellucid program of development for Nevis 9. I want to know how parents in Nevis 9 feels tonight when they go to bed and they don't have a laptop for their child. All they have is a bag, and maybe they got some whistles today. Dr. Daly is saying to you, I am interested in the education and the development of your child. And parents must understand that elections have consequences. And I know the areas. I know that there are low and middle income families in Nevis. And they benefited from the REACH program. Their children were being paid to go to school. A number of children enrolled in the Clarence Fitzbrand College as a result of that marvelous program called REACH. People were climbing higher as a result of that program. And Dr. Daly took them in at the college. And he's saying to you tonight, I did that when I was the president. If you decide to elect me, or when you decide to vote for me in your overwhelming numbers, I will bring back the REACH. I will bring back the laptop. I will ensure that your children are empowered through their educational development. That is what Dr. Daly is saying to you. Mark Brantley is saying to you, you must grudge people. Mark Brantley is saying to you, he could have 5 computers in his house and you don't have one. The NRP said to you, we will bridge the digital divide in Nevis. And we will ensure that we bring digital equity and we roll out the development of the future digital economy for the island of Nevis. And so people of St. John's, people of St. Paul's, Dr. Daly is saying to you, you must get on board with the program of development that he has for the people. Of course, he has highlighted this evening a barrage of programs. They are all people-centered and people-focused. They are all about the development of people, development of families, development of communities, and by extension, the development of the island. We have a man, and I'm going to wrap up soon. We have a man who has destroyed the economy of Nevis. Imagine if I got $200 million to develop Nevis. I would have built a brand new Nevis. I would have built a new Jerusalem right here in Nevis. But anybody from St. Kitts can come to Nevis tomorrow. And I want you to go around Nevis and show me, touch it, where the $200 million was spent. Show it. Because you won't see it. Because as Timothy Harris would have said, the money was in fact squandered. I believe Dr. Daly would be a prudent manager, an effective manager, because he has done it. He was the accounting officer as a PS. So he understands how to account and spend the resources of the state. And so, my dear people of Nevis 9, I could only urge you, I could only recommend to you this evening that When you compare Mark Brantley and Dr. Daly, it is chalk and cheese. One is about development, and maybe one is about pretty socks. The people of Nevis deserve more than that, because this is not about socks. Maybe, well, you know, in this election, Dr. Daly is going to knock his socks off him with the support of the good people of Nevis 9. And so I would want to endorse the ideas, those plans and programs and those policies that Dr. Daly has elucidated this evening on this program for the future development of that constituency. And Dr. Daly is saying that Mr. Brantley was elected in 2008, but no, it was 2007. So he had a longer time to develop. He has no excuse in relation to the development, because the expansion of St. John's was done under NRP, the road development was done under NRP. NRP did the work in St. John's. The Henry Daniel did the work. What Mr. Brantley has done, he has ridden on the backs of the people of Nevis with sweet sounding words in perfect English, amounting to zero. And so people, we always say in the NRP that at the end of the day, what matters is performance. Dr. Daly has demonstrated at Clarence Fitzbrand College, at the Ministry of Agriculture, at the Charlestown Secondary School, in the private sector, that he is a performer. And so I would only endorse this true Nevision, this true patriot, and this performer to the good people of Nevis 9 this evening. I'll stay there for now, Mr. Hector.
As youth of today, we are the leaders of tomorrow. What are you waiting for? Join the NRP Youth today.
We voting for NRP, the Performance Party.
Some of the issues that are important to me are the cost of education. The NRP has a history of offering youths like me scholarships so I could fulfill my dreams to be whatever I want to be. Lack of jobs has also been a topic amongst my peers. Every year, more than 300 students leave school and enter the workforce, but the current government has failed to create any jobs.
NRP, visionary, ready to transform Nevis.
Thank you and welcome back. And if you just join us, you're with the Nevis Reformation Party as we outline our plans. The plans that we are to offer you as a party and a successful party in this federal election. We've had presentations from Dr. Daly, and we've had a presentation and endorsement from Patrice Nesbitt. I am to remind you that Friday evening at 7 p.m., we will have a launch virtually from our headquarters. I want to ask you to tune in. I want to ask you to support the Nevis Reformation Party, a party that is truly visionary and a party that has brought meaningful development to you, the good people of Nevis, to you, the residents, to you who have enjoyed a life in Nevis. In this segment, I'll ask some quick questions. Speaking with you first, Dr. Daly. Dr. Daly, you've outlined the programs of the party. I am asking you tonight to give us an opportunity to know in terms of an order, which project would you rank first and why? Which project, if tomorrow you are elected, you would want to rank first as that program that you would begin embarking upon? And please tell the audience why.
I think perhaps the housing, because there's such a need for housing in Bath. That's probably the easiest concept to pull off. There is a ready market for it. People want housing. And, you know, when you see the conditions people are living in, it's demoralizing. And so, to me, it's important to start to build people's confidence, to build people's sense of ownership before you move into anything else. If there was to follow that, perhaps go into the Bath Stream Bath hotel development, because that creates employment opportunities for people, whether they're inside Bath or outside of Bath. The business incubator will follow, the marina will follow that. Interconnected roads that will come perhaps the last, because of course the roads existing there are bad, but they're passable. And so in that order of importance, I will start with the housing, and then Bath Hotel, Bath Stream, Marina, the incubators.
You also spoke, Dr. Daly, in terms of education for a short while. Give us an indication of the structure under which the party intends in terms of its board, how it would function, and what sort of money you are hoping and the party is hoping to spend on education.
That's a good question, Mr. Hector. Traditionally, we have looked towards recurrent revenue to fund most of our government expenditure. But the quantum of funds needed at this point in time is so much, you have to look beyond what we recover from recurrent revenue. So we are proposing that a proportion of funds received through CBI project, 10% in the first instance, be directly deposited into an endowment to support education and education activities. That's perhaps the easiest way to fund education going forward, because you cannot be time and time again digging into a shrinking recurrent revenue of $130 million to support an expanding program for education. It will not work. You're going to run the government, you're going to run the country in debt, and everybody will be dissatisfied. The program will not be expansive and inclusive. So the best way to fund that, if we are collecting, for example, $400 million a year from CBI, 10% of that is only $40 million. But that is almost 3 times as much as what they're paying now in education, the budget for education. So the whole point is to make it a self-supporting, self-sustaining endeavor by using an alternate means of financing it.
In an earlier program, you spoke of a missed opportunity with the fisheries complex. What will you do? What will your party do in terms of ensuring that the fisher folks of the island can have benefit, a greater economic benefit from that trade?
Mr. Hector, the difficulty that the Japanese experienced here on Nevis was over one single point, which is it's difficult to understand why our government refused to budge on it. The difficulty and the only objection the NIA had is the location of the project. They were saying that the northern end of Gallows Bay is inappropriate. Put it over at Vaughan Radio, which is a total opposite to anything that we have ever considered. When we were doing analysis of where the best and most appropriate site was, on every measure, that location which was designed, which was chosen, came out on top every time in consideration. It is the largest landing site on Nevis, Charlestown. It has access to a lot of the communication links, the power links. They have within the metropolitan area of Charlestown, pedestrian traffic going through the complex, as well as vehicular traffic going around the complex. So you had all the components in one place. The water in Charlestown Bay is deep enough that you do not need a lot of dredging. It is partially protected. It is a commercial hub for fishing on Nevis. Why would the government seek to put this where no fisher ever fished, where no fisher ever parked? Their boats. It is amazing to me that they would turn down $30 million over an argument that somehow the fisheries complex is going to congest Charlestown. But yet they're going to build a 3-story building in the heart of Charlestown, which they say will not congest Charlestown. It clearly had nothing to do with that. It was all politics. They felt that this project, $30 million, the largest project anywhere of a fisheries nature, anywhere in the OECS, was too much for the NRP to take credit for. That's what it was all about. So,
Mr. Nisbet, Honorable Patrice Nisbet. Are you hearing me, Mr. Nisbet?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, Mr. Hector.
Honorable Patrice Nisbet, elections under a state of emergency. Is this democracy? My question to you.
Mr. Hector, I mean, apart from the fact that there is a state of emergency, I believe the much more critical issue is those regulations that have come under the Emergency Powers Act. Because when you look at those regulations are the regulations which really and truly deal with the suspension of your fundamental rights. And of course, if it means that you can't go out after 8 in the night, or you can't go out on a Sunday or on a Saturday, that clearly means that your freedom of association, your freedom of movement, your freedom to go to a political meeting, your freedom to attend whatever forum that you would want to attend is indeed affected. Of course, if you are a shop owner and you can't open your shop, you can't do any business, it means that your property rights are indeed infringed upon, are being affected. And so, really, what we see here happening is really a threat to our democratic principles, our democratic traditions. Our democratic traditions dictate that we have free and fair elections. We are able to exercise our right to vote, which is of constitutional pedigree. You exercise that right in an atmosphere of freedom and an atmosphere that is free from fear. Some people might be feeling a bit fearful at this time having regard to the enforcement of these regulations that have been made under the state of emergency. We really don't know what impact that will have on the electorate, so to speak. You really don't know how people are going to react. I would want to hope that people would be so disgusted that they will go out early and they will vote to ensure that the democratic freedoms, the democratic traditions and principles that they are normally accustomed to are in fact restored. That some semblance of normalcy is in fact returned to the populace of St. Kitts and Nevis. I don't believe that people are satisfied with the fact that a government has its foot on our necks, so to speak, when we are contesting an election. Because clearly, that in itself, it's not a level playing field. And I believe the electoral process, in order to bring legitimacy to it, it has to be a credible process. And the question tonight that we have to ask is whether we are engaging in a credible exercise that people in St. Kitts and Nevis would believe at the end of the day, at the end of polling day, the elections were conducted on the rules that ensured that there were free and fair elections in St. Christopher Nevis on the 5th of June, 2020.
Mr. Nisbet, I have honorable, and you come to the table tonight having served us in the highest capacity as foreign minister and as an attorney general. And I'm sure you have witnessed bungling on the state of emergency. But my question to you, I understand now that there's only 3 of us in quarantine and that we are quarantine free. Does that justify a state of emergency going into an election?
What do you mean by quarantine? I don't understand. Quarantine free?
Say that we are COVID free, sorry.
But you're COVID free?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. The CMO would have indicated to the nation some time ago that all the persons would have recovered. And basically, I believe I heard that the Prime Minister is saying that 0 sometimes is a good number. So if we are at 0 and the nation is quarantine free and you have told people to go back to work, basically under the new regulations, you have allowed people to keep political meetings in public, and there are persons, scores of people in attendance. Well, then, to my mind, all this putting together leads to the irresistible conclusion that there can't be no reasonable justification for this state of emergency to be existing at this time. Because you can't say, no, it is as a result of the pandemic. It's as a result of that calamity. That is why you have the state of emergency in place. That can't be said now. To my mind, the only reason that the state of emergency is still in place has to be to facilitate this election cycle. Because if there are no new cases, and there have been no new cases for quite a while, people have been recovering. And so what could be the justification when the actions of the government itself, the actions that they have taken, clearly leads you to feel, as far as they are concerned, we have basically overcome this pandemic. Because they have done the phasing, they have done the easing, and basically it's almost as if you're back to normal. The only difference is that you might do some social distancing now and you might wear a mask. That's the only difference. So I really don't see the justification for the continuation of this state of emergency. Stag.
The hard question, Mr. Nisbet, that keeps coming up. And perhaps you can tell us from your point of view if you would have heard any directions whatsoever in terms of the boundaries upon which this election would be contested.
I believe that the Attorney General would have made a statement to the nation some time ago in a news report, I think I saw, and he intimated that the elections will be contested on the existing boundaries. I really don't know what he meant by existing boundaries. Is it the 89 boundaries or the 2015 boundaries? Because that can be subject to interpretation. Some people would say that might be a matter of interpretation. Because you know that I was a part of the Boundaries Commission. And one of the first issues that we would have raised as commissioners, myself and Mr. Convis Maynard, the Honorable Convis Maynard, was there has to be a determination as to which boundaries we were going to review. And so the commission would have sought some legal advice. And the legal advice came back. And the advisor would have given the advice. They really didn't give any clear-cut position as to which boundaries should be reviewed. As a matter of fact, as if you said, out of an abundance of caution, you should look at the 89 boundaries, but that can't be satisfactory. And so there's some level of uncertainty in relation to which boundaries these elections should be contested on. Because we know what transpired. People are using what the Privy Council would have said obiter dicta in order to justify the positions that they have taken. And they have done nothing for the last 5 years in advancing the issue of reform of the boundaries or review of the boundaries. And I believe in the minds of everybody in St. Christopher Nevis, everybody believes that on the dissolution of the parliament, the 2015 boundaries should kick in. I believe that is what is on the mind of the ordinary citizen. Of course, some people argue that an injunction is still in place. Pretty strange order that was made by the Privy Council. Matters that were considered were not even before the Privy Council, that were being advanced in the judgment. And so, Mr. Hector, I would want to say that there is indeed some level of uncertainty with regards to the boundaries. And so we may end up contesting an election on unconstitutional boundaries. And then you may have litigation again. And you know what happened with litigation? You know, waste of resources. And so maybe the court should be asked during this time to interpret which boundaries we should really contest this election, and so as to put this matter beyond peradventure, put it beyond guesswork, put it in such a way that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis believe in their mind
that we are having an elections on boundaries that are in conformity with the dictates of our constitution. I believe that that may be the way, or that may be a consideration for persons to look at.
Let me ask you, the average man in the street, Brown Hill, in 9, how can he be affected by not knowing what boundary he's going to vote on?
Well, I mean, of course, depending on which boundaries you vote on, might depend on who you vote for. Of course, so if he's not sure which boundaries he's going to vote in the election, he may have some uncertainty as to which candidate he will select to vote in the elections. And I'm sure that one would not want at this time that kind of uncertainty. One would want to know at this time in this very short election cycle that you already know this is the candidate, this is his platform, these are a set of ideas. And one would decide whether we accept the ideas or you reject the ideas of that particular candidate. I would imagine that most persons who are electors, they would want to know early which is the candidate that is contesting the particular riding, the particular constituency in which that person resides or that person is registered to vote. I don't think the uncertainty is good for the democratic process. I really don't think so.
Would you not, with the present election, the National Elections Act, don't you require specific to the observation of social distances within the polling division, the changes that are might necessary? Are these things catered for under the present legislation?
Well, no, I would imagine that at some point we may have some regulations being made as to the conditions under which these elections will be conducted. I would imagine, I think that there is some rule-making authority in the legislation to the relevant minister charged with the administration of the act to make regulations. Of course, at some point, regulations were made to control what? Cell phones being allowed into polling stations. The same way, I believe, regulations can be made in order to set out the parameters under which these elections will be conducted, or at least the conditions that will be in play for polling day. I would hope that if that is the contemplation, that all the relevant stakeholders be notified early so that persons who would be tasked with working in the polling stations, they will be au fait with the relevant legislations. But you know, this government, they do a lot of things in a very sneaky fashion. No, they like to give speeches in the dead of night when you're already sleeping. When it came to the COVID regulations, of course, you would be aware. When we went to Parliament to debate the extension or the continuation of the state of emergency, we never saw the resolution until we got into Parliament. So maybe in line with that modus operandi, in line with how they have conducted themselves in these times, maybe if regulations are made, we will only become aware of them on the morning the polls are open in St. Christopher and Nevis. But I would want to strongly advise against that particular approach. So, in a sense of fairness to all sides, let us know the rules that we will be conducting this exercise on that particular day as early as possible. I would want to urge and implore that on the government.
Mr. Nisbet, your final words. We are wrapping. I would want to ask you for your final words.
Well, Mr. Hector, I really didn't get a chance this evening, of course. I guess when I'm back, I will be able to outline the vision for the further development of Nevis 11 and Nevis in general sometime. But I would want to say to the good people of Nevis 11 that they have entrusted their confidence in me for the last 20 years. I've been a parliamentarian. Mr. Joseph Parry, in his wisdom, asked me to continue after he decided he no longer wished to be a federal parliamentarian. And so we have been able over the years to achieve a number of things on behalf of the people of Nevis in order to empower them, in order to improve their quality of life. We have also done things to improve the quality of life of their children in terms of their education. Our policies, our programs that we were able to bring to Nevis between 2010 and 2015 touched every life in Nevis. An increase in the minimum wage. I believe the minimum wage was about maybe $320. We took it to $360. That was across the board. And that improved the disposable income of many families in Nevis. And so I would want to say to the good people of Nevis 11 that the investment and the support that you have given to me for the last 20 years was indeed also an investment in you and the constituency and the people of Nevis. And so on polling day, I ask you to once again say, in your overwhelming numbers, that you would put your trust in the visionary policies and programs of the Nevis Reformation Party and vote to re-elect Patrice Nisbet in Nevis 11. Good night and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Nisbet. Dr. Daly? Your final words, please.
Mr. Hector, Mr. Nisbet, you know, this election here is going to be a hard-fought election. We are coming from an area, from a position where we are facing the incumbent, We are facing all sort of challenges. But one thing is on our side, is that people are fed up with the status quo. People are fed up with being left behind. And so we are appealing to the people of Nevis, the people of Nevis 9, 10, and 11, to do something different this time. Look at the prospects of a better future as the transition from waste, deprivation, poverty into a new era of strength and wealth and fairness for all. And so I wish come June 5th that we can come back on this platform and report that we have been successful in capturing the required number of votes to represent, to bring proper representation to the people of Nevis. Good night.
Thank you very much for viewing this evening. You have heard from us, and we ask you to support our candidates. We ask you to support our program. On Friday night at 7, we'll have a virtual launch of the candidates, and so we ask you to follow us. Do join us as we, members of the Nevis Reformation Party, a party of peace, progress, and prosperity, continue to work in your interests. Our vision is to transform this little country, the Nevis that we love, and by extension, a transformation of this long-standing federation. Good night, and thank you so much for viewing this evening. We love you. Please vote for the Nevis Reformation Party.
For the best in news and politics, visit www.nrp2020.com.
As youths of today, we are the leaders of tomorrow. What are you waiting for? Join the NRP Youth Arm today.
We voting for NRP, the Performance Party.
Some of the issues that are important to me are the cost of education. The NRP has a history of offering youths like me scholarships so I could fulfill my dreams to be whatever I want to be. Lack of jobs has also been a topic amongst my peers. Every year, more than 300 students leave school and enter the workforce, but the current government has failed to create any jobs.
NRP, visionary, ready to transform Nevis. Sitting around and saying that you will not vote because things are bad is not a reason to stay at home, but it is the perfect reason to go out and vote for someone like Dr. Daly. Voting is a platform for change, and quite possibly the most important one at that. To vote in candidates that want to change the problem you see. NRP, visionary, ready to transform Nevis.
youth, we cry out. We are vocal, and I, for one, cannot contain it any longer. But the current premier hears no one. We complain about the lack of employment opportunities, and he shows us his socks. We complain about the lack of opportunities to obtain a university degree, and he brags about lobster being a part of his diet. We cry in want of a better way for ourselves, a better future. And he says, look at me in my new blue suit. Are these basic things too much to ask of our premier? I think not. His record indicates that he does not care and that the job is more than he can handle. Perhaps it's time for him to go.
NRP, visionary, ready to transform Nevis.
Hot dog!
As a part of the NRP Share to Care program, the NRP Youth and NRP St. John presents Hot Dog Day. Yes, Hot Dog Day. Join us along the Prospect Main Road just outside Cherry Garden on May 22nd from 12 to 2 p.m. Bring the children along for a free hot dog and a free drink. Come be a part of NRP Hot Dogs Day.
What a hot dog day!
Hot dog, hot diggity dog. It's a brand new day. What you waiting for? Hot dog, hot